就除了战争以外，你们对乌克兰有什么了解？
他在亚洲，
什么亚洲？
就是离我们比较远，这样就是个大国，有很多漂亮的女生。
以前综艺节目都会说那个乌克兰美女教芭蕾舞。
瑞莎，
黑土。
以前地理课的时候很肥沃。
就国旗有黄色跟蓝色，在台湾有看过那些乌克兰的料理的餐厅，但是没有很多。
罗宋汤嘛，他的总统是那个演员，喜剧演员。
俄乌战争始于2014年乌克兰广场革命，罢免了亲俄派总统亚努科维奇。俄罗斯占领了克里米亚半岛，并在乌克兰东部成立了2个亲俄的政权，分别是顿涅茨克人民共和国与卢甘斯克人民共和国。俄罗斯联合此2小国与乌克兰发生冲突长达8年，然而国际间的协调效果有限。2022年2月24日，俄罗斯总统普廷宣布2小国独立，并全面入侵乌克兰。普廷更夸口说3天拿下首都基辅，而第一批俄军甚至准备了军乐队，认为乌克兰人民会双手迎接俄罗斯。后续在国际上普遍认为是普廷的战略上失误，许多高科技人才也相继离开俄罗斯。3年内的战况消长不断，各国都在人道与利益中权衡。
你对俄乌战争目前的了解大概到哪里？
它比我想象中还要久。
原本是俄罗斯打乌克兰嘛，但是现在好像是乌克兰反攻俄罗斯，是这样吗？
是川普对于乌克兰有一些施压，所以就是情势上有点改变这样。
2025年，川普当选美国总统，他曾表示上任后将在24小时内结束俄乌战争。2月与3月间，美、俄、乌、欧各方斡旋，一下开会谁没受邀，一下公开大吵，一下达成协议，局势天天都有变化，让人来不及跟上。而夹在世界强权之间的乌克兰如何进退，也是我们台湾人值得关注的。
香港的事情，就是也会有人家那边讨论说台湾是不是下一个香港？
今日香港，
对对对。但是我自己会觉得，不会想说台湾会不会变成下一个哪一个国家，我会比较想要探讨的是，发生的这些事情会不会对于台湾在国际上的地位，或者是我们的安全的部分有影响。
在战争之下，受到最大冲击的总是人民。乌克兰人的生活在10年内如何自处，也是备受关注。本次哈哈台特别约访在台湾的乌克兰人，带你一起来看看他们生活的变化。欢迎订阅哈哈台频道以及分享影片，也欢迎扫描 QR Code 追踪哈哈台成员们的 IG 账号。首先是在东海大学念过书的嘉玲，她对于台湾人觉得乌克兰美女很多感到十分困扰。
你是什么时候来台湾的
？2022年，我本来打算2022年夏天来台湾读书，但因为战争开始了，所以我申请了东海的奖学金，所以我就来到台湾。
因为你提早来。
对对，毕业之后就来台湾念研究所。但我其实我还在乌克兰的时候，因为我在学中文，我想要模仿台湾口音，
腔调，
对啊，就是好吃啊，然后那个 R 要写成 R， 你知道吗？
对。可是为什么你会想学中文呢？
兴趣啊，对啊。
所以你现在是口译。
是啊。
你在台湾目前生活这2-3年，有没有什么比较不习惯的事情呢？
就是有一些人，他们对待我的方式，我觉得不完全可以接受。
特别指台湾人吗？
台湾男生，因为我是乌克兰女生，那是因为斯拉夫女生会遇到很多刻板印象或是一些偏见，例如很多人想娶一个乌克兰老婆，打开我的 IG 小盒子，你会看到至少有200个讯息问我要怎么娶个乌克兰老婆，要去哪里。我不知道，我之前在公司遇到一个人，他已经有老婆，然后他问我去哪里认识乌克兰女生，因为我的梦想一直都是找一个乌克兰女朋友。
我问了一些台湾的路人，他们对乌克兰印象，很多人说乌克兰的女生都很漂亮。
我会强调一下说，在台湾的乌克兰大部分都是模特儿，他们会被挑选的那种最厉害的、最优秀的，不是一般的路人。我之前住在台中，我基本上每天要出门，很多人要跟踪我。晚上我要就是回家，然后突然有一个人，等一下 ，Hello， 可以跟你拍照吗？他们真的会排队。有一次就是有人排队开始给我拍照，真的很扯啊！
各位请注意，我们有一种东西叫做跟骚法。
因为我妈在便利商店工作，所以我之前都会陪她一起上班。晚上会过来的客人，他们都是要买烟啊，或者是酒，然后他们很粗鲁。但我第一次在台湾半夜去便利商店的经验，就是大家要去吃泡面，我就觉得好可爱哟，这是什么可爱的国家啦？大家也 也太好了吧。
而在交大念书的安娜也遇过文化冲击。
First time I came here in 2018, stayed here till 2021, 2022, 2023. I was in Ukraine, and 2024 I came here.
Why do you choose Taiwan?
I was studying at university in Ukraine, and there was because I decided to choose learning Chinese. My teacher was Taiwanese and Ukrainian. Husband and wife, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my teacher was always like, you should come to Taiwan. It's very beautiful. You can, practice Chinese and so on. Yeah. So that's why I decided to continue my master degree here in Taiwan. Yeah.
Do you get any culture shock in Hsinchu or in Taiwan?
People are standing in line when you're about to buy something or waiting for the bus. In Ukraine it's completely different. We are not waiting, we are like going. And sometimes people here, they are more slow, more calm. In Ukraine and probably in the whole Europe they are more Russian.
Would you like to line up for about 30 minutes for a delicious cuisine?
I try to find something best.
Or
then
20
I
minutes?
go to
20 minutes.
10 minutes.
Only 10 minutes.
15 at most, If it's something super delicious, maybe, yeah.
Okay.
聊到美食，乌克兰人有个共同的愤怒。
How do you feel about Russian? Feel like罗宋汤 is their tradition?
I hate it. I hate it. No, I can't stand it. I am a nice person all the time, but when we come to Russians and they try to take not their culture, then I speak. Just scroll your telephone, Instagram Reels, you see some, Russians saying, oh, finally we are eating Russian borscht. And I open those comments and, hating comments. No, Ukraine created borscht, this is our traditional dish.
通常在台湾的书店卖的那些关于乌克兰历史的书，都没有提到说我们俄罗斯帝国之前有什么自己的国家这样子。基辅罗斯帝国还有那个莫斯科帝国中间，我们也有建立过自己的国家。后来我们要跟波兰打仗就输了，寻求俄罗斯的帮助，帮我们洗手。乌克兰加入了莫斯科帝国，所以他们把我们的一些最好吃的料理也带走啦。
罗宋汤起源是乌克兰，
对，
俄罗斯人也是这么认为的吗？
不见得，他们可能觉得是自己的啦，因为他们不喜欢去研究那个历史或者是来源，或者是他们认为乌克兰原本就是俄罗斯的一部分。
基辅罗斯帝国及乌克兰的前身，在12世纪被蒙古打败，曾经短暂于乌克兰的西部维持独立，但最后被波兰还有立陶宛瓜分。1648年，乌克兰不满波兰与立陶宛联邦的统治，发动叛乱，试图争取独立，并寻求俄罗斯的帮助。1667年，俄罗斯与波兰签订安德鲁索沃条约。波兰保留西乌克兰，俄国则正式并吞基辅及东乌克兰地区。直到1991年苏联解体之后，乌克兰通过全民公投正式宣布独立，成立现在的乌克兰。
如果你要在台湾去找乌克兰料理餐厅，比如说在宜兰有一家，然后它那边的料理大部分都是乔治亚料理。我们乌克兰人超喜欢吃乔治亚料理，所以我们都最怀念的料理不是乌克兰料理，是乔治亚料理。
说到乔治亚，目前定居花莲的如烟，在俄罗斯全面入侵的前2周，人刚好到乔治亚旅游。
我现在乔治亚，我刚好去 snowboarding 2个星期，然后我了解就战争真的开始了，我们都不相信，你知道吗？那时候没有人相信，但是没办法回乌克兰，因为飞机停下来。
来到台湾其实基本上也是因缘际会嘛。
对，我在乔治亚这样子一直哭，一直看新闻，然后看到了自己的广告，说他们给乌克兰人奖学金，然后我就在那个 Messenger 就按了，然后写 I'm interested， 然后他们开始联系我。
这么酷。
对，我也吓到了。
没有想过除了台湾以外的其他地方。
我看到花莲，
然
后我就想说，这个地方看起来一个岛很远的农村，所以我好想要去那。
哦，你喜欢那个氛围？
我很喜欢，对。可能如果我在台北看到这个机会，我不一定会来，因为我喜欢花莲。
你不是原本住基辅吗？
对。
所以你是不喜欢基辅的城市的那种感觉是吗？
我在基辅住在一个森林， 就旁边。
你没有任何的，例如 culture shocks 之类的吗？
应该是跟吃的东西有关系。他会吃甜的红豆，因为我们在乌克兰吃咸的红豆，然后再加鱼。
再加鱼？
对，跟鱼一起吃，红豆跟洋葱、鱼一起吃。
红豆是吃咸的吗？
对，我们是咸，我们完全没有甜的红豆。
那来台湾之后，你有觉得有不一样的地方吗？跟你想象中？
没有，我马上爱上台湾。我来花莲，然后在自己大学的宿舍，然后他们有那个 campus 很漂亮的 campus， 拿这个学生证，然后我超开心。我有另外一个生活，我终于可以呼吸。只有一个 moment 我觉得有点可怕，是飞机，他们在练习，就是 military 的。我一来台湾的时候，然后一听到这个声音，我就马上这样子靠近那个墙壁或者什么的，我马上会觉得另外一个战争开始。乌克兰人现在很多人都有 PTSD。
你家人都在乌克兰？
对啊，我妈还是在哈尔科夫。
哈尔科夫我就查了一下，发现它就是一开始那个乌俄战争刚爆发的时候有被炮击的地方。
我妈每天一要起床就会被爆炸声叫醒。
现在还是？
现在还是每天。那边的人已经麻痹了。哈尔科夫算是前线的城市。
对啊。
因为战争刚爆发的时候，我在乌克兰，所以我有体验过所有的事情。第一次听到了那个哔的声音，然后就是突然 boom， 就是爆炸，然后你整个大楼开始摇晃，然后那个声音它会切入到你的心里面，超级大声，然后就是每天过日子非常痛苦。然后我这样过了2个礼拜，我才被逼离开去波兰。我觉得这场战争最让我感到
怎么了？你可以想一下。
就是最惊讶的事件，就是我那个时候已经到波兰，然后我滑手机看新闻，就是我们哈尔科夫的新闻，我就看到我家后面有人被杀，被那个飞弹杀死，然后他整个身体变了像是肉块的那一种，然后就是我看得到自己的家，然后这是我每天会走的路，我尽量假装战争没有发生。比如说我们现在要采访啊，然后你让我想到之前的事情，我会感觉到非常不安，然后可能那个晚上无法入睡这样子，
就会开始进入创伤跟焦虑的状态。
对啊。
那我们现在聊一些这个，你 OK 吗？如果你等一下觉得有点不舒服的话，你可以听。
我妈第一年有搬到波兰了，可是她在那里无法融入，她找不到工作，因为有好几百万乌克兰人跑到波兰，然后现在连那个一般的洗碗的工作都没有，然后加上她不会波兰文，所以造成了她的困境。然后她那里也没有什么朋友，没有家人，她会很孤单。所以后来我们想了很久，他还是决定了他想回去。
It was very first year when the full escalation of war started, we were scared. But then you just get tired. Sometimes if I hear explosion or air raid alarm, I just close the window. I need to sleep. I need to wake up in the morning and go to work. You cannot live in the same, emotion all the time. You need to have fun, you need to go to the bar, you need to meet friends, go dancing. We just try to find cafeterias that they have, underground cafe. Yeah. Oh. But still we continue to live our life because it's impossible to, just and
like life goes on.
Yeah.
外国人一定会有一个就是社团或群组之类的，有没有可能会不小心让你认识到俄罗斯人？
Right now, no. I remember there were a lot of Ukrainians who were together with Russians. Yeah, and it was hard to find real Ukrainians because you don't understand. And at that time, many Ukrainian people were speaking Russian, not Ukrainian.
Yeah.
But now it's completely different. Although there are some people who are speaking Russian and, making friends with Russian. Personally, me, I do not support that, and I don't want to make friends with Russian because we are at war. They were trying to, invade our country and, put pressure on us. Yeah, so I feel like we have a lot of Ukrainians here. Why do I need to find some Russians? So
那时候没有打算在 Georgia 继续待下去吗？就是你在那边待得好好的，为什么要就是特别飞来台湾？
因为在 Georgia 我一直找不到这个平安的感觉。第一个有很多俄罗斯人，很多人在旁边讲俄文，这件事情就真的让人不舒服。我的朋友的圈不会有俄罗斯人，因为乔治亚他们也是被俄罗斯打，他们也是对格鲁吉亚非常的糟糕。我的朋友们他们也不会跟俄罗斯人好。
那来到台湾呢，不小心在生活中碰到吗？
只有一次我碰到俄罗斯人在乌克兰支持乌克兰的活动，我本来以为是乌克兰人，他说他是俄罗斯人，然后我其实也没办法说什么，我就离开了，我也没有跟他聊天。
就算他是支持，
这个是另外一种题目，这个很难。我们说很多俄罗斯是 imperialists， 你有的时候不知道这个人到底是怎么样的，因为他被洗脑很多年。我们之前也是跟俄罗斯人一样的情况，我们的总统很糟糕，然后他支持所有的俄罗斯，但是我们有做 revolution 对吧？是。然后很多人死掉，那时候很多人死掉就为了让乌克兰自由，所以我们对俄罗斯人的生气就是这个，因为他们什么都没做，他们没有站出来，他们没有给大家看，他们不同意。当然有一些人他们有 protest， 但是很少。
目前我的想法是这样子，好人坏人不分国家这样子。主要遇到俄罗斯人的场合都是在工作，所以他们通常都蛮理性的，他们也不会问一些过度敏感的问题，我们都可以用理性的方式去找共点，两个不同立场的人达到共点才是重要的，这样我们沟通就至少有一个基础。比如说就是人不应该死，这样子就是当地人很可怜，我们就可以慢慢建立沟通。这2年内我觉得我们所有人都失去了安全感，完全没有安全感，我都会害怕这个人是不是要伤害我。我算是蛮坚强的一个人，然后都不怕面对不认识的事情怎样。可是现在确实是每次做新的事情我都会很恐慌，好像你突然死了，然后你复活了，那你要在国外从零开始生活，你也没有地方可以回去这样。不过我觉得我最近开始慢慢适应新的生活，开始规划未来。当我之前都是单日生活，今天起来了，好，我看一下今天会发生什么，我不敢往更远的时间想。
Your family and your friends, so when they find out that you're about to come to Taiwan, do you find them understanding your situation?
My mom, at first she was like, no, you can't leave Ukraine. Yeah, it's too far away, something like that. But I felt like, because I cannot stay for a long time in Ukraine because I'm not growing. I mean, career speaking, or I do not get any knowledge. And especially now it's hard. My sister is there and she's studying, but study is like stopped. It's like they go to university, but it's like maybe once or twice a week. Because of the, all the explosions and bombing and air raid alarm all the time, so they need to hide to the shelter. So, and online teaching, it doesn't work. Because during online classes, they just sleep and pretend to study. Yeah. Sometime war will stop, and if we will be sitting not working at all, then our country is doomed.
你在战争前跟战争后的那个心理状态有不一样吗？
Yeah. For a long time, we've been dating with my husband for 5 years before the full escalation of war. We were not married. We were like, okay, we will find the right time, maybe later we need to plan our wedding, and it takes a long time. But when full escalation of war started, we were like, what happens tomorrow? So we need to, start our life now. When we go to that government building, when we get married and all documents get signed, they started to have, 24 hours marriage. So in 24 hours you can get married in Ukraine. Very quick, yeah, for people, just in case, maybe it's some soldier who just came for a week to that city. I don't want to make, those big plans, long-term plans, because before we used to do that. Probably after the full escalation of war started, many people are like, let's see. We hope that when it's over, he will be able to come to Taiwan, especially because he used to live here for 6 years. That's how we met. Yeah, so Taiwan, brings us together.
先生有跟你就是聊过他最想念台湾的什么吗？
This is just珍珠奶茶, but he likes 黑糖珍珠奶茶, so it's fine.
往这个帮乌克兰跟台湾建立关系的方向想哈，比如说做一些贸易相关的工作，或者是开自己的中文补习班类似的东西都可以。然后我们上课都会看哈哈台。
好，很好，我们授权给你们当课程，你们可以看 YouTube。
可以。
因为我现在跟我男朋友在一起，所以我觉得我们先会待一段时间在台湾。我的梦里的生活是在一个山上，有一个房子，没有邻居，有牛马，不看新闻，不看网络，没有 IG， 不当 blogger， 就这样子在那里平平安安的，没有什么战争的，没有爆炸的声音。
New Zealand 感觉很适合
哦 New Zealand， 希望可以在乌克兰做得到，或者在台湾。
项链什么？这个是你们的
对
乌克兰的服饰吗？
这是我的妈妈的结婚的衣服，然后这个是手做的，它会给我更多的勇敢的感觉，因为这个是乌克兰衣服。我穿这个衣服，我是乌克兰人，给大家看我的真正的脸，就是我是谁。另外一个是一本书，
是
有一个小孩他坐火车回家回乌克兰，因为你们可能知道，现在战争的时候，火车变成 main 的一个交通工具。对，现在乌克兰的孩子们的这些在里面都有战争，跟战争有关系的。真的吗？对，我就觉得很可惜，乌克兰的小孩现在要体验这个战争的生活，因为他们如果有爆炸，他们就要下去。对 shelter， 对啊，他们肯定要知道，你不能给孩子说没有战争，你不能骗他们，他们要保护好自己。但是说，我从来没想过我会住在克拉库夫，这波兰的一个城市，在家里，在我的漂亮的Horenechach基辅旁边，活得非常好。但是有一天战争开始，没有人期待这个战争会来。我的妈妈已经很久之前有准备一个小包包。那一天呢，在我的城市可以听到俄罗斯飞机的声音，然后也听到爆炸。我的爸爸没办法从基辅回家，因为他一直在一个 military 的医院做手术。我的妈妈发动，可能在我们的 shelter 太冷。Oleg 来是妈妈的弟弟，然后他说我们要很快就拿我们的东西出去。我拿了一本书。然后我最喜欢的玩具，
它搭配的是一个就是看起来是不太像会写这一些东西的图片，然后写这么沉重的内容。
这个内容就是我们的 reality。知道，我觉得最心碎的一句话说，他们找不到他们的猫咪，然后离开，他们没办法带他们的猫咪一起去。所以妈妈就说服他说没关系，不要哭了，我们回家的时候猫咪在，但是其实不一定那个猫咪会在。
而开头的这位其实是政大东亚所的学生，对于台海与东南亚区域的政治特别有研究。
不要过分严肃的话，你走在路上要不要注意交通安全的这种感觉？你可以对这件事情有所了解跟想象啊，当然你没办法阻止它发生，可是你自己可以想说，如果发生了之后，你可能有什么准备是可以让你应处的比较好的。
Every time I talk to some people about this, about two Taiwanese I meet somewhere, and they're like, we are not sure if we are ready to fight. It's scary. You understand? If you go to fight, like my father said, before he used to be a policeman. And he said that I was taught to be a person who tries to predict the situation, dangerous situation, and admit it, to not let this happen. People know, but here right now at work he understands that if he won't kill that person on another side, then that person him. So it's completely different.
我们也很好奇，目前住在乌克兰的居民会是什么样的状态呢？本次哈哈台语记者刘志兴特别合作，他带着哈哈台特制麦牌，从台湾搭飞机到阿姆斯特丹，再转去波兰，再从波兰前进乌克兰，带你一起来看看上班时间的基辅人。首先是在公园遇到的舞者夫妻，他们与台湾也很有渊源。
How old is he?
12.
Is he angry or something?
No, it's just breathing.
Is he okay when the alert happen or?
He's okay because he is a little bit deaf and don't hear like explosions or something.
And you always live in Kyiv?
Especially not every day because in the past time I was a dancer.
Dancer?
Yeah, I'm dancing around the world for different countries, cities.
Yeah. And you don't dance now?
No, especially no, because dancing, professional dancing in Ukraine now, don't have places where dancers can work like abroad. My wife last year working at Ida Park in Thailand, yeah. And now I'm a tattoo artist. I do tattoos.
Oh, really?
Really, yeah.
What people like to take as tattoo when during wartime? Are they different than the usual?
In the first months, many people do like a patriotic tattoo, like trident, like a flower with national colors. A lot of. Now it's not so popular, but not like first months. I basically work in a traditional style. It's like colorful, like cartooned.
Do you have any your work on your body you want to show?
I can show on my
your wife. Your wife? Okay. Oh wow.
This is new.
This is new from him?
Yeah, 1 week ago.
1 week ago. Oh, it's very new.
Ghibli, it's Calcifer. It's from The Legend of Zelda, if you know him by Nintendo. It's from Ghibli,
Yeah.
Totoro.
So you know about Taiwan, right?
I know about Taiwan because my wife works in Taiwan. She meets a couple of Ukrainian. They had a cafe, Ukrainian cafe in Taiwan. Hata.
In my city.
In house
Kaohsiung.
make donations.
Donate.
Get donation by many people from Taiwan helping, and thank for all for supporting us.
Do you have anything to say to Trump?
Trump don't feel us. He need to came to Ukraine and see situation by own eyes for understanding this in different parts of Ukraine for understanding.
战争影响了乌克兰人的所有生活层面。那么，乌克兰人目前还会有娱乐吗？
Do we get to go to clubs or do fun things now in Ukraine? Is that possible?
Yes, it's possible, but you need to be ready to hear like specific humor and.
Do you still want to fall in love in a wartime?
She has recently done speed dating.
I haven't a date a lot of time, so I decided to like
speed dating.
To speed dating, and I called to my friend. I visited 30 dates. It's okay.
Oh, 30.
It's 30 like 5 minutes, but.
Oh wow, that's a lot.
It's a lot.
And?
No, like I think.
Not impressed.
No, not impressed.
And it just happened so that most of the people that I find attractive, they're either on the front line, and it's kind of, I think many people do long distance relationship, but it's difficult, yeah.
And you need to have a nice feeling of humor to work with distance relationship, and we have a lot of memes and videos about women, wives, soldiers.
远距离的恋爱已经很难维系，战争之下的远距离婚姻又会是如何呢？这位女子的丈夫正好就在前线打仗。
How is your house now? I mean, I know what happened.
Our part is not destroyed because bombed here.
New Year. It's New Year.
This is 4th January. I think a lot of neighbors live in another house. Our Ukraine protect our people. My boyfriend now protect our Ukrainian.
The girl is getting married.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting married.
Wow, flowers.
Yeah, flowers and ring in the aquarium in the left our besides I've got like have purpose. So as a result.
When
скажи, що ти вже 3 роки чекаєш. Yeah, I'm waiting for that person, my boyfriend, for almost 3 years.
So he's always in the front line?
Yeah, like right now, yeah. When it started the war, he was 22 years old. Okay. As a result, if you know our really year for starting to fight is almost 25 years old.
Oh, he's the drone.
Yeah, he was.
He's the one managing the drone.
Yeah,
Wow.
he is like a medical.
What was the most worry, like night or day? Do you remember that?
Yeah, of course, first day of war. It's very, I think, dangerous day. My first sight when I wake up very quickly and heard for the first time boom. It's very horrible. I hope my protector, my motivator. I want to say thank you to report. Yes, a lot of people know really truly information about nowadays what is happening, and no one know how it's hard to waiting our voice and bands for almost 3 years.
而无人机改变了现代战争，也大大提高了军人的生存率。这次我们访问到了新创科技团队的经理。
My name is Vitaly Moroz. Equality is a Canadian technology organization which is present all over the world and also focusing its work in Ukraine as a country under the attack from Russia. Today's wars are very technological. Before it relied on tanks, on artillery, and they still play a huge role. But technology has changed the combat, and the drones are the biggest innovations. Tank which cost like $20 or $30 million. If you have one drone which costs like less than $1,000, it's very effective to build and invest into the drones.
Can you share some of this kind of stories from citizens using drones?
The very simple fact, it's much more easy to buy the components of the drones separate and to make a drone on your own. It's maybe like 5 times cheaper than buying the drones manufactured abroad. So even the kids, school kids, women, girls, they just like look on the YouTube instructions how to build the drones. So I know, for example, one of my friend and her father and herself, like they just built all these drones. She has probably created already like 200 or 300 drones and sent it to the front line.
在科技的发展下，人人都有能力帮助一场战争。从家庭代工无人机到发起募款活动，我们到街上看到正好在募款的协会成员。
Make me like an example. If you want to fundraising from me, what you will tell me?
We have a problem, да? Right now. No? Ми маємо проблему з Росією, але ми розуміємо, що світ глобалізований. Китай дивиться. Уважно дивиться за вами. І не тільки Китай дивиться за Тайванем, а тим паче ще Японія тепер в небезпеці, Південна Корея в небезпеці, тому що вони, знову ж таки, поряд з Китаєм живуть і розуміють, що це, а що воно буде далі. І щодо Європи, це найголовніше, тому що європейці добре бачать вже, що це не зупиниться, напевно, на Україні, тому що плани там Путіна, чи колективного Путіна, чи взагалі будемо так казати, що це не війна Путіна, а війна російського населення. Вони хочуть. Якщо б вони не хотіли цієї війни, вони б зупинили. Незважаючи на те, що там поліцейська держава, вони нібито там бояться, але вони підтримують. І зараз, в першу чергу, європейці, вони повинні розуміти, що щось треба терміново робити, тому що війна може поширитися в першу чергу на країни Балтії, так, Латвія, Литва, Естонія, потім Польща, вже там Фінляндія, Швеція. І де воно зупиниться, незрозуміло. Краще взагалі не воювати на своїй території, а зупинити на території України ці всі речі. Тому моя мотивація така. Ви повинні донатити, щоб у вас в Україні не було війни, в першу чергу.
许多市民放下了原本的生活，投注在这场战争，但没有人天生就懂战争，许多市民也因此变成被攻击的目标。
We are clear that there is a huge threats online because our adversaries are using digital space to attack us, starting from cyber attacks, attacking government websites. So that's why we are protecting with our software Deflect against DDoS attacks. But also we understood, like on some like in the first months of war, we just realized that volunteers are being attacked, and we have efficient attacks against volunteers and regular Ukrainians to steal their money. For example, a volunteer conducts fundraising campaigns and accumulates on its account, on his or her account, like 100,000 hryvnias, which is local currency, to buy some equipment and send to the army. So they are vulnerable audience, and attackers through the phishing try to get access to their accounts and steal this money. That's why we came up with the idea that we need a rapid response digital security helpline. In Ukraine, we have occupied territories, Ukrainian citizens living under occupation. It means that all the methods of surveillance, censorship by Russia apply to them. And the first what Russia do when they occupy the territories, they cut off Ukrainian informational sources because they want isolate people and keep them living with only Russian narratives, which are propagandist narratives, which is like the worst, one of the worst censorship in the world. Maybe China is a leading example, Russia probably the second one, and so on. So what we want to achieve, we want to break through all this iron curtain of Russian censorship and to be present with Ukrainian content. So we want to deliver the Ukrainian content from reliable Ukrainian sources to provide Ukrainian point of view.
纵使科技在进步，基辅还是会面临被轰炸的危险。
So I was told this is the most dangerous place in Kyiv. Can you explain why?
Every place is dangerous, but probably this very lively street was attacked tens of times already. We are standing just near the Lukyanivska metro station. People are going to the work. There is a market nearby. There are also office buildings, and there is also an arms factory. This place is often attacked by Russian missiles. The last attack happened on 18th of January around 6 a.m. and 4 people were killed. Behind us you can see a memorial, or what is left of the memorial, which commemorated the deceased people. There are a lot of digital places
that people preserve the memory. So websites, social media pages, sometimes you can just walk on the streets and you can see that there are screens with the names, pictures of the soldiers or civilians who died because of the war, and like you can read their story.
而能源设施是容易被集火的目标，被轰炸的还有这座发电厂。
I have read this is a generator. It's a big generator from some power station. Yes, which was attacked several times.
Can you describe your life in the past 3 years?
It's not about past 3 years. I'll talk about last summer, July. It was the massive attack to a power station near to Ukrainka, Bukhov. Yeah. It was destroyed. Partly, I believe partly, but we lived without electricity a month. Me, my husband, my neighbors, we all live in 23rd floor without electricity, without lifts, without water. And it was really difficult. We had electricity not all day, but some maybe 2 hours per day, yes. It was some competition for us.
My name is Viktor Pilipenko. I'm an openly gay male, cisgender male, then a veteran, fought on the front line for 4 years, and I'm a leader of the Ukrainian LGBT military community. When I was choosing a symbol of our unicorn logo, I remembered one interview of a homophobic Ukrainian colonel who said that he will accept gay people only when gay people will create some unicorn battalion, at least, in the Ukrainian army. He said it literally, unicorn battalion. And I was like, haha, you got it, bastard. And we made the choice to make our symbol a unicorn, which is also very gay. Yeah. This patch is now worn by LGBT people on the front line. So they are fighting with these patches against Russian imperialism. Whenever the unit is okay, and guys and ladies are openly gay, or trans, they are wearing these patches and they're proud of it.
Any strength to LGBT community, gay people, lesbian, on the battleground?
Gay people are pretty good in IT, everywhere when intellect should be applied. Also, we have a very big amount of medics, paramedics. I don't know why, but LGBT people are good in combat medicine, paramedicine. Me as well. I'm a CLS, combat lifesaver. So I was participating in assaults, I was an infantryman, but I was also additionally providing first aid on the battlefield.
What is the happiest moment for you in the past 3 years?
I can remember every such moment whenever I was meeting with guys to have sex on the front line. I will not be lying to you. These were the happiest moments for a soldier. When I was before second invasion, I was a bit introvert. But now when I returned from all this disaster, and I'm really lucky that I survived, I understand this. And now I'm trying to try everything. And I'm having a very lush nightlife. And I advise everybody, please do it safely. All the experiments should be controlled.
What were the happiest moment for you in the past 2 or 3 years?
When a lot of died. Так можно сказать. We have a mix of emotions every day and every month and every year. And maybe about the exchange of...
the prisoner.
Yes, it's very happy moments for us.
There were like some Crimean prisoners exchanged recently.
And it was very happy moments when our cities was liberated in these years. Kherson region, Kharkiv region. It was very happy months. It was like... and he like very emotional every day. If you want to feel some
emotional roller coaster.
Come to Ukraine.
Yes, come to Ukraine.
每天的情绪如同云霄飞车，是乌克兰人目前的生活样貌。他们昨晚的情绪也如同云霄飞车般起伏。
Last night was massive attack to Ukraine, not to Kiev. And I and my husband all night was monitoring the situation, where this rocket missiles, which is direction of these missiles. And in the evening, yesterday, we were in the National Opera with greatest concert. Yes, I know it's looks and sounds strange. But it's such we have such life, and we try to live here and now. It's so hardly to buy tickets to theater, to opera in Kiev. Yes, my husband last autumn was staying in the queue about 5 hours to buy tickets to famous play Kontovska Vidma. 5 hours in queue. Yes.
而战争时的艺文生活变得困难，音乐文化也不例外。乌克兰的音乐文化在战争之后也有了改变。2022年前，乌克兰同时存在着俄文与乌克兰文的音乐。2022年后，开始强烈去俄化，多数乌克兰艺人决定完全放弃俄文，使得乌克兰文音乐成为主流。在某些地区播放俄文歌还会被警告或是开罚。流行音乐有这个变化，那传统音乐呢？
My name is Anna, and I'm born in Kiev. I play piano. I'm a musician. A few days ago, I get married.
Ah, really?
Yeah. So.
Your husband, the husband now.
He's a musician too. He's a violinist, and we are like a small musician family.
I know there are lots of songs, music from Russia.
Yes.
So, what happened with, as musicians, what are the differences after the war happened?
Зараз складна ситуація з російськими композиторами, і вони всі якось перепліталися з російськими композиторами, і вони Ревуцький, здається, якщо я не пам'ятаюсь, пробачте мене, музиканти, але він навчався в Росії, він наша українська школа музична, вона базується на російській музичній школі. І я вважаю, що зараз треба підтримувати наших нових, молодих українських композиторів і продвигати, як то кажуть, національну школу. Але не забувати про великих, на котрих базувалася музика. Для мене, як для музиканта, котрий любить музику Рахманінова, і це все життя я хотіла зіграти фортепіаний концерт Рахманінова. Для мене це складно зараз усвідомлювати, що наразі за певних причин я не можу зіграти фортепіаний концерт. Звісно, ми замінюємо, ми знаходимо, ми продвигаємо, і дуже багато зараз гарної музики знаходиться. Той же Задирацький, котрого просто з пеплу підняли, і я теж долучалася до цього, я грала твори Задирацького, я граю твори українських композиторів. Але не треба викидувати з минулого. Треба, як то кажуть, знову я ж кажу, будувати майбутнє, але не забувати про минуле.
乌克兰与俄罗斯在文化上交织密不可分，身份认同也错综复杂。你说俄文还是乌克兰文变成身份认同的象征？
Because Kiev for years have been dominated by Russian language because Russia or Soviet Union they have been imposing their own rules and Russian was the main languages. And while I have been speaking always Ukrainian, and before I was I felt myself in a minority, but now Russian language is associated with Russia as an aggressor. So many people, specifically young people, they change their attitudes towards the language. They switch to Ukrainian and use it as a main language.
乌克兰在2022年前有30%的民众以俄文为主要语言，50%以乌克兰文为主，但在2022年后，俄文使用者大幅下降，有80%民众使用乌克兰文为主要语言，语言的转换成为民族认同的象征。
Why you always speak Ukrainian since a long time?
It's a part of our identity. Ukrainian means that we are independent. We got our independence just 30 years ago in 1991, and means that we departed from the Soviet Union, which was another empire with a policy of colonialism towards the other nations, and Soviet Union has never acknowledged that like republic have any choice. It was like 100 years ago, and it was always oppressed by Russians. And since like the language is a part of the identity, you just want to have the language which will not disappear, because all over the world we have the situations when the languages disappear because people like stop speaking these languages. So if I speak Ukrainian and you speak Russian, we can easily understand, and there is no need to change the language, for example. So we can communicate freely. But speaking Ukrainian was always like a kind of political manifestation. For example, don't start speaking Russian because your colleague also speaks Russian.
而乌克兰人的自我认同在一次次的改革与抗争中找到方向。如果战争真的结束了，他们第一件想做的事情会是什么呢？
I don't know. I cannot say. Maybe we'll cry. Maybe we'll laugh. Maybe we'll cry and laugh together. Yes, I don't know. I think nobody can tell you. Yes, nobody can tell you. I don't know.
When you lost even not relatives or people, just people who you know. You know these people, but you can reach them now and can see them now, and they just go on, and it's very awful.
What is the first thing you want to do after the war ends? The first.
Буде дуже багато проблем. Тому що багато військових повернуться, і треба буде зробити так, щоб вони стали такими самими членами суспільства, як і звичайні громадяни, які не перебували там, не приймали участь у бойових діях. Це важливо, тому що ці люди витратили велику частину свого життя заради захисту, і, відповідно, вони приділили свій час, і ми повинні приділити свій час і зробити так, щоб вони повернулися нормальними, більш-менш. А по-друге, хотілося б трошки відпочити.
To have a vacation. Nice, near the sea maybe.
Near the sea?
Yes.
For how long?
How long? I don't know, maybe 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Will be enough. I want to sleep like in calm, to understand that nothing, I am in safe, yes. I want to feel this safe. We also think about Crimea. We need to visit Crimea.
I guess what changed for me, so I wanted to stay and live in Ukraine, but it wasn't like a must. I thought that I might spend some time abroad, maybe live abroad, but now I really want to do something decent here to to develop Ukraine, our civil society.
What is the first thing you wanna do when the war ends?
Yeah, I have a small baby, and we call our daughter the baby of war. yeah, because she was born 6 months ago. And still we haven't considered moving somewhere else. I hope that we'll just will just the memories will not be about the war, and all the memories about the war will be from our conversations with the baby. Probably the first things I would do, maybe to show my daughter European countries, because I used to travel a lot before, and for the 3 years I don't travel due to restrictions. Because, you know, like seeing other cultures, that is a part of our growth. It's all enrich our lives.
We will be happy to welcome you and your daughter and your family in Taiwan.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you.
I would be lucky to launch a family, yeah. But there is still a fight in Ukraine, unfortunately, for equal rights for LGBT people. So the first thing, I will open a bottle of champagne. Or Prosecco. What can be more gay than Prosecco?
Yeah, I hope, you know, in Ukraine, maybe someday you get to get your partnership or same-sex marriage possible here in your country. But it's possible in Taiwan.
Yeah. I believe that free nations will receive what we deserve the best, you know, because we suffered much, we fought much in humanitarian field, on a battlefield, and I think we deserve the best.
You know about Taiwan, so do you have something to say to our people in Taiwan?
Так склалося, що ми знаходимося у схожих ситуаціях. Ось, тому що я не вивчав, а я читав історію Тайваня. Армія Тайваню намагається отримати певний досвід ось на полі бойових дій. Просто вони дивляться, вивчають, тому що розуміють, що може бути далі. Я що можу сказати? Треба триматися, треба готуватися.
Thank you so much.
In general, we will win.
We will win. We will win together.
Democratically we win.
It can be stand with Ukraine. Thank you for if you will watch and read. I invite you to Ukraine. Yes, please. We have a very gorgeous and beautiful places.
Because we have a lot of similar experience, but we are very far away from each other. So also stay strong and be ready to defend yourselves. You can do it.
Слава Україні! I think слава героям слава!
Я думаю, що любов – це річ, котра їй нічого не заважає, навіть якщо це війна, бо це відчуття спокою, це відчуття потрібне кожному. Навіть в такі часи люди знаходять сили будувати стосунки, будувати сім'ї, незважаючи на перешкоди, на страждання, на втрати. Я думаю, що це потрібно кожному. Не забувати про те, що майбутнє воно зараз будується. Тобто не чекати, поки треба жити зараз, треба любити. І любити не просто когось, любити кожного. І I think it's the most powerful thing.
People of Taiwan, we have so much in common. Please take care of yourself. Stay strong. Never lose your inner strength. Whatever happens in future, do not lose your identity. Please stay Taiwanese. Stay gay if you are gay, and stand for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
结论：飞弹掉下来，日子还是得过，是乌克兰人的生活写照。不敢想更远的未来，但更努力地活在当下。我们都来自历史错综交织的土地，都曾经被质疑、被定义与迷惘。威权的压力下，使我们得捍卫自己的民主与自由。当威胁逼近，我们才会发现，身份不是别人给的，而是我们选择的。而我们选择站在自己的土地上，活成自己。
哈哈，太